Well, just the other day, we had a video talking about how Universal Studios had filed a permit for the removal of Rip Ride Rockit. And in that permit, there were no real details about what would be replacing it. All we did know about the permit and the area that was outlined in that permit is some details about some buildings that would be constructed. But other than that, we didn't have any other details about it. But it seems now that Universal, just a few days later, has made it official by announcing the closure of Rip Ride Rockit. And we have a few details perhaps on when this ride or the new ride that is replacing this will be ready. So we're going to read through this article from the Orlando Sentinel and give some thoughts on it here. So hi, I'm Jared with Caption Magic. So again, this article is from the Orlando Sentinel and it says confirmed Universal closing Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit. And this is by Dwayne Bevel. It says Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit roller coaster will be permanently closed at Universal Studios theme park in 2025, Universal Orlando officials confirmed Friday. The bright red coaster debuted in 2009 with an extensive playlist of songs that passengers could choose to listen to during the ride. The ride will shut down in early September of 2025. It says, quote, to make way for a new experience, according to a Universal statement shared with the Orlando Sentinel, and there were no further details. Rockit had been the subject of discussion online and among theme park fans, and talk intensified after documents filed with the South Florida Water Management District by Universal indicated that the company intends to dismantle the ride. The coaster's design includes an immediate 90-degree lift hill that then sends riders down the equivalent of 17 stories into a twisted loop that runs toward the back of Universal Studios before a return trip over the queue and through a circular pattern that travels near Universal City Walk. Early on, the design, as seen from above, was touted as resembling a treble clef. The narrow ride is wedged between the park's sound stages and Music Plaza stage, where visitors frequently stop to watch the dramatic drop of Rockit. The steel coaster goes as fast as 65 miles per hour and tops out at 167 feet high, according to the roller coaster database. That's really all the details we have on this, other than Universal just saying that this ride is going to close down in September of 2025. We discussed in the previous video about what could be replacing this. Some people have speculated perhaps it could be Ghostbusters, as this, where Rip Ride Rockit is and some of the buildings that they are going to be building for this new coaster that they had in the permits is in the same area where they had some Ghostbusters presence in the park previously. I think the one that probably makes the most sense if we look at the Fast and Furious coaster that they're doing over in Hollywood, it's a very similar type of track layout they could do here. And so that one, I'm not saying they will do it, but that one does make sense, and I'm not really sure what other IP they would use. They probably will use an IP if I were to guess. Some people have speculated a Wicked ride. There's a lot of possibilities that they could do, but if you watch our previous video, there is a coaster that's been designed by Intamin, which we do know that they are involved in this on some level, that they have a coaster track or design that looks very similar to what would fit in the blueprint in this area. But I think the overall thing is the timing of this. It really makes a lot of sense in terms of what I have thought Universal will do once Epic Universe is open. So Epic Universe is opening May 22nd, 2025. And just a few months after that, you have Rip Ride Rockit closing down and something is replacing that. And more than likely, the timeline we're looking at is about perhaps a 2-year construction. So if this is done by 2027, you would have a brand new attraction in the studio side of things, which again, I think we're going to be seeing this a lot from Universal. Now, I don't know if they're going to do Rip Ride Rockit and perhaps the rumors being that Pokemon would be replacing the Simpsons Land. You also have the Lost Continent, that long held rumor that Zelda will be going in that area is still around. I do know I can't say specifics about it, but Zelda has been looked at in that area for Lost Continent. I'm not sure of the status of it, but I wouldn't be surprised if we were to hear Pokemon going into where the Simpsons is and perhaps something about Zelda. But I wonder if they're going to announce multiple things or they're going to do one thing at a time. But I think nonetheless, they are going to undoubtedly circle back into the existing parks and start updating attractions and lands, as Epic Universe obviously is going to have a lot of attention. It's got the brand new rides. It's the most high-tech theme park that's going to exist. And a lot of people have thought that perhaps Epic Universe could cannibalize the attendance at the existing parks. I don't personally think that's as much of a concern given that the existing parks are still popular and the way the Universal is setting up their ticket packages, but it is something you want your other existing parks to be on the same level as Epic Universe, as there will be a discrepancy if you go to Epic Universe and go to the existing parks. It's not going to be the same feeling because those parks are much older than Epic Universe. So I do think that they're going to go back in there, and obviously they've announced that they're going to do this ride, but they're going to do other rides as well to bring things up to date, to try and bring a more balanced offering where you have not just Epic Universe being a main draw, but obviously you have the Wizarding Worlds in both the studios and Islands of Adventure side, then whatever is replacing Rip Ride Rockit, which is in prime real estate when you talk about right when you walk into the theme park. It's one of the first rides you can see right there. So if you had a high level, high demand roller coaster right there, that is definitely something that would be very popular in that location. And I assume they'll also go into Islands of Adventure. And I will say, Islands of Adventure does need some updating in lots of areas. I don't think Marvel Superhero Island is going anywhere for obvious reasons, at least in my mind, because of the business side of things. If they were to get rid of that, then obviously Disney would then get the rights to the theme park rights to Marvel and use that against Universal. So I don't think Marvel Superhero Island is going anywhere, but you've got Toon Lagoon and the Lost Continent like we talked about. So I do think those are probably going to get some attention in the coming years. And obviously when you talk about Universal and Epic Universe, and undoubtedly people will talk about Disney as they're competing with each other. And I think they're only getting started in terms of the theme park competition between the two. But, Disney announced at D23 this year the things they have coming to the parks. But again, if you look at Disney notoriously, very slow in construction. And we're already seeing delays on many of the projects that they have said they're going to start working on. Whereas Universal's main asset, other than obviously one of their main assets at least, is being creative and taking risks. Look at Epic Universe alone, and I think that makes the case for that. But also the fact that they construct quickly. If they're able to get in here and replace Rip Ride Rockit with a very high demand roller coaster and also into these other areas of the theme parks, you could be talking about Universal Studios not only having Epic Universe, having a replacement for Rip Ride Rockit, and maybe one or two other rides or lands completed before Disney potentially gets any of the things done that they have announced at D23 this year. And if that's the case, that's a pretty strong offering from Universal, because then Disney, essentially, their answer for Epic Universe, they would have to go back to the drawing board and come up with more answers for things that Universal is doing. So I do think the speed in which Universal does things is an asset. Obviously, they have a lot of momentum. There's a lot of hype. There's a lot of anticipation for Epic Universe, and hopefully that park lives up to it. We'll obviously have to wait and see when it comes in May. But I think Universal is definitely doing what I felt they would do, which is not stop with Epic Universe, but keep going. Use that momentum. Bring more offerings to their existing parks, really try and push that envelope to make Universal not just what it has been historically, which is, a 1 to 2 day add-on, destination with your Disney vacation, but turning Universal Orlando into its very own 4 to 5 day, if not longer, vacation destination. And I think things like this will only help with it. Obviously, Universal has some very thrilling coasters. You place one in here, you get another one that's on the same level of Velocicoaster and Hagrid's. You would have a great hit on your hands here. Stardust Racers is going to be another one on the thrilling coasters that a lot of people are going to be looking forward to. And I have no inside sources on anything from Universal. I mean, some people say things here and there, but I don't have anybody that leaks anything to me. But I just have a feeling that they're going to announce something, perhaps a kids park that they bring into Universal Orlando, or something else that's pretty big, perhaps once Epic Universe is done, because I really think they're going to keep pushing that envelope, because I do feel like they sense weakness from Disney, and they have a lot of momentum, and I think this is the first indication here of exactly what they're going to do, which is only keep going. They have Comcast backing them, which they have a lot of money. They're obviously seeing returns on their investment, and I don't think they're going to wait for all of their ROI to come back on Epic Universe, but they're going to keep doubling down into the theme parks and riding that wave of momentum that they have. And kind of typical with Universal, they don't always announce a lot of details that are coming here. So I'm not really surprised that we don't have an announcement about what is replacing this. Disney does things their way, which is they have concept art, they show all these things, and they get kind of people hyped up. Whereas Universal, they kind of just make, they just say something's perhaps going away, and they may not mention what it is for a while. They did this with DreamWorks Land. They did this with Epic Universe. They announced Epic Universe, but it wasn't until well into construction that we had official word from Universal about, Harry Potter and Dark Universe and How to Train Your Dragon. You could tell by the construction photos of what they were, but Universal themselves didn't come out and say anything really until they announced these lands and had the concept art. So they do things differently. I think it does benefit them of not hyping people up too much, showing them all this concept art, and then perhaps it changes, whereas they wait till they're further down the process. And really what they've done with Epic Universe, what they're building, it looks almost identical to the concept art that they have shown. So I do like the way that Universal goes about it. I think Disney goes about it more kind of like the Apple model. So they get up there with the presentation, Josh Giamaro shows you concept art, gets you really excited for it. And, many times the final product looks a little bit different, you could say, at least there, of what the final product is compared to the concept art. Whereas Universal just kind of goes this other route of more low-key, I guess you could say under promise, over deliver. So I personally wouldn't be surprised if we don't hear an official word about what's replacing this for a little bit, just because Universal kind of tends to do that. We'll probably be able to tell from permits and trademark filings that they do, because that's usually the best way that you can figure this stuff out. I know Alicia Stella at Orlando Park Stop saw some permits of what was going into, say, Dark Universe. So you can put two and two together many times, but officially when Universal comes out and says things, they many times wait a bit further down the process here. But again, if you want to be riding Rip Ride Rockit for the last time, be sure to get over there before September of this year. And as soon as we have any information about what will be replacing Rip Ride Rockit, we will be talking about it right here. But that's going to be it, though, for this video. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel, as we do lots of coverage here of Universal Studios, Epic Universe, Disney World, and pop culture. And let us know in the comments, what do you think about Rip Ride Rockit closing, and what do you hope or think is going to be replacing it? And until next time, we will see you in the parks.